What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing out there on this Wednesday, March 22nd of 2023? Before we get into anything fun, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes, spread this word of mouth. Go look us up on the socials for the Alex Cuesta Show. Look at me tripping over my words. David, why are you here again?
Because I took off of work. That's how I got here. I'm supposed to work night shift, but I took off because we have a fantastic guest who I lobbied for very hard. So I'm very happy to have him on. But I do want to say, I want to give big ups to Stuttering Craig Skistimus, who we had on before.
Yep.
He recently had on the Side Scrollers pod a very long interview with DSP, which, if you know anything about internet lore, I highly recommend it. It is hysterical, or at least look up some highlight vid because I guarantee they're out there. But yeah, that's been a big part of my life recently because I can't believe that happened. That is something out there.
It was definitely shocking. And yeah, if you haven't checked out Side Scrollers yet, certainly go do that. Craig's back in a big way. It's only a matter of time before he recarves himself a huge following again on YouTube. So we're really pumped for Craig. I want to talk about last week's guest real quick. Last week, David, you weren't here because you like to disappear on some of the greatest guests we have. But I know, right? We had Simon Ateba on. And the cool thing is Simon has been in the news a lot lately. He is Chief White House Correspondent for Today News Africa, and we had an awesome conversation about the White House press pool, what it's like. And he went again at Karine Jean-Pierre. He's making the rounds on Tucker, and Simon's doing some good stuff fighting for First Amendment, for journalists in the back to be called on. So go listen to that. It was awesome. But this week, Dave, like you said, we have someone that, you know, I got to say, without you, I might not know who he is because I wasn't big in the Geeks and Gamers scene before you started saying, like, hey, go watch Friday Night Nights, go watch Thursday Night Main Event. Just check out Geeks and Gamers. It's awesome. And he is an OG for the Geeks and Gamers whole group. He's JosiahRises. He has a hard-hitting YouTube channel dedicated to commentary on culture, particularly a mockery of woke Hollywood, which is always fun. And he's also the founder and CEO of EpicVerse, which is a cutting-edge entertainment company focused on bold storytelling with a community-first mindset. Josiah, what's going on?
What's up, Alex? How's it going, David? How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good. Awesome. And we have... Awesome. We're going to have a great show ahead of us because, like we said, it's always fun having someone on because we've had a lot of people on that do things, but you do basically exactly this on more of like a live form too, and you cut videos. So it's always fun to have someone that does basically what we do jiving with us here. Right. And like I said, we're both big fans of Geeks and Gamers, but I want you to talk about your upcoming venture that we've been hearing about, and it's here, the EpicVerse. What can we expect, especially people that know you and things like that? What can we expect out of the EpicVerse? Give us some fresh stuff that we've never heard before. Let's go.
You're already putting the pressure on me, man.
Absolutely.
Coming out of the gate swinging here.
You got to do it within the first 10 minutes because then people turn it off, right?
So there you go. I appreciate that. So EpicVerse is something that I have been very passionate about for I started talking about the idea of EpicVerse about 2 years ago, and we didn't really pull the trigger on it for a while. But then towards the end of 2020, me and Mike, who is my co-founder of EpicVerse and excellent writer. He's great. He's such a great storyteller. We both got together. We put our heads together, and the whole thing that kind of kicked off EpicVerse for us was when I made my kind of like my teaser video of me coming back to my YouTube channel after I got demonetized and stuff, and people loved it. People were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool!" And I was like, "Well, I mean, if people are going to be that excited about something that Mike and I just threw together in like 2 hours, you know, maybe right now is the time for us to actually start our entertainment company that we want to start." And so that's kind of how EpicVerse started, was because of that teaser video and the positive reception that we got from that. And so from there, we launched EpicVerse. I will say this, the plans as far as like what we kind of had as far as our project itinerary for EpicVerse has really changed over the past year. We were originally going to be starting with just one feature film. We were like, okay, we're just going to do one feature film. We'll see what people think and we'll kind of go from there. But then this is just kind of how I roll. I'm someone that I will just like take on just like a million things at once, because I love the stress, to be honest. Like, that might sound kind of weird, but I just love that pressure and the stress that I put on
Some people perform great under pressure, man.
Yes,
that's part of it.
And that is definitely how I operate. So we kind of re-strategize EpicVerse. I still can't say a whole lot of what we have going on.
That's fair.
But nobody's going to be expecting what we are going to be coming out of the gate with. It's going to be absolutely insane. We have I will tell you this, we have more than just one project that's coming down the pipeline. We have pretty much every sort of genre that you can think of covered in what we're doing. We have it's absolutely nuts. Like, we have short films that are going to be coming, we have shows that are going to be coming, and feature films as well. And there's so much I want to say, and I'm really trying to figure out how to say what I want without spoiling too much about what EpicVerse is going to be coming out with. But I will also say this: EpicVerse is global already and stuff as well. Like, we have teams from all over the world that are working on projects for EpicVerse right now too. So in a lot of ways, the way that we're kind of viewing it is, we just want to create like a hub, kind of a way, an outlet for people to tell their stories and tell in a way where they aren't hindered by all of the agendas that Hollywood wants to push and all of that type of stuff. We are we're just kind of letting the creators tell the stories that they want to tell, as long as it doesn't have any of the any like woke nonsense in it. We don't really have much restriction beyond that. So that's kind of what we have going on with EpicVerse. So
I love it. And one thing I love is, like, we have EpicVerse coming. Obviously, Eric July has the Rippaverse with comics. Tim Pool, whether you like him or not, Timcast doing a lot of good stuff with Timcast, like, that's not culturally woke. Daily Wire doing a lot of things that are not culturally woke. And it's like, my thing when it comes to some like the woke messaging, it was always there, right? This type of left-leaning stuff was always there, but it was much more subtle in the past. And I didn't have a problem if it was a really good product, but there was some subtle like nonsense, right? And you can kind of look past it and be like, okay, little minor global warming thing, stupid, but fine, great movie. Like, right? Where now it's just so much of, and it's like, it's interesting. My day job, I have the gift of talking to so many different people, and a lot of creative people that are going into acting and things like that and wanting to do this stuff. And I've gotten a lot of them to agree, because I know that they lean left. But I've said to them, like, please bring the act of subtlety back, right? Because I don't think any of us, you possibly aren't going on this venture, and a lot of people aren't going on those ventures if Hollywood, we all knew they were left, but just kept their messaging to a subtle nod, and not a whole entire movie or a whole entire series dedicated to it. So I'm putting this out there. I really hope that we're getting some really good American anime from the EpicVerse. That's just me throwing that out there. I want some good American anime. We've been starved since like Avatar and Samurai Jack, and we need some good American anime. Now, are you just only staying on the film side of things, on doing movies and TV shows, or will you be venturing into any sort of print stuff in the EpicVerse?
We're trying to stay away from print stuff. We think that a lot of people have that area pretty well covered, and I think there's a lot of people that are just continuing to kind of grow in that space. But we don't have a lot of people that are really challenging Hollywood on their turf. You know what I mean? And we need more people like that. So that's why with EpicVerse, that's our focus right now, is to, and who knows, maybe our idea on that will kind of change in the future, but. From what it stands right now, that is kind of what our focus is on the visual medium of filmmaking and all of that type of stuff. So that's where we're at right now.
I love it.
But we do have a lot of different animators that are working on different things for EpicVerse as well. So there is some of that type of stuff that's going to be coming too. And I will say this, and I know this is something that we kind of wanted to touch on tonight, but children's storytelling is so important, and that is something that we have decided over the past couple of months with EpicVerse to really put a lot of focus on, is bringing back good quality content for children and for kids and stuff. And there's such a lack of that, especially right now. Like, if you turn on like Netflix or anything else, and you look at what they're putting out there for kids, it's just all trash. It's garbage. And pretty much anything that I let my kids watch is stuff that Obviously the stuff that I've already seen, so I know what they're going to be watching, but it's all like older stuff, like the older Pixar movies or, older shows and all that type of stuff.
Let's get back to cartoon violence.
Yes.
Where's Tom and Jerry? Where's Looney Tunes? Yosemite Sam and all that. Like that was kids like the zaniness, and they don't. It's not like they're going to start. Yeah, they're going to beat each other over the heads, but that's what kids do.
Yes.
Like.
And it's kind of insulting because so much kids content today also like really just they treat kids like complete idiots, you know what I mean too?
Yes.
Like there is a very little intellectual profit for kids from a lot of stuff that's being put out there for them now too, which is sad. It's really sad because I think kids are really smart, and obviously they're the future of our country, and that is why it's so important to instill in them, the values that we have and stuff as well. So
Yeah, and I gotta say, like all kids content, you remember this stuff when you grow older. No matter how much you think you forget it, all of a sudden you might see something from something you used to watch, and like, oh my god, I used to love that. Like, and people will come out and say, oh, you're not a fan of that. Why are you complaining after doing something to it now in like a fresh, modern way? Like Velma. I wouldn't have professed I'm like this huge Scooby-Doo fan, but seeing old Scooby-Doo. Yeah, but the thing is, I remember watching all of the movies, watching plenty of Scooby-Doo. Now, maybe I didn't have a ton of figures about them, but I don't want you ruining something that I used to love. Like, that makes no sense to me why I should not care that something that I used to love is now getting just tortured when it comes to, especially something like Velma.
So, Josiah, I'll say this. I don't know how old you are, but David's 8 years younger than me. I'm 34. I will say Sarah Michelle Gellar's Daphne was part of making David a man. Honestly, between that and him watching WWE with me, watching Sarah Michelle Gellar in that purple dress, like, again, that made David a man. So
I'm pretty sure most boys had some sort of crush on Velma at that point, or on Daphne. So
both.
Yep. So and that's why I think Hollywood is so. That's why I think that what they're doing with the woke crap is so sinister, because they aren't taking, they aren't creating new stories to push any of this type of stuff. They're taking all the stuff that we grew up with, that we loved, and they're completely compromising it with all of their agenda nonsense. And they're doing it with everything now at this point. It kind of started with Star Wars was kind of like the big thing that kind of made people start to wake up to see what was going on. But man, it's like just think about that. That was only Force Awakens came out in 2015? I think 2015 was when it was
not that long ago. No.
Yeah, Last Jedi came out in 2017. That was the film that really made people just wait, what's going on here? But since then, think about that. That was almost only like 6 years ago. Think about how much nonsense has come out since then, where they're literally taking everything and they're completely just destroying it, hijacking it with their messages, which is why I think that it's absolutely disgusting. And Hollywood is obviously this is all about it's all coming from sinister motives for them. So
it certainly is. And it was always a travesty that the Sons of Abe, or followers of Abe, a conservative group of actors, had to hide and meet in secret. That just tells you everything you need to know about the culture in Hollywood. And I'm going to try and make a connection here. I don't know, Goofberry Pie, you see this behind me, our buddy George Alexopoulos, I don't know if you know, he is the political cartoonist. He created an awesome kids book. I think it would be dope if you guys can animate that into a kids show. Because, I don't know if you have it. I don't know how old your kids are. My 5 and 2-year-old daughters freaking love that book. I read it to them. They loved it. It's a longer book, so I read it in pieces. But it's similar to what you guys are trying to do there in animation with the kids things. And it's a wholesome story, right? It is a good story about adventure and overcoming things and, just good values to have in a fictional setting. And it was goofy as hell. And it was like my kids laughed at something. So, I would love for you guys to get in touch and maybe animate that, because I think that would be dope. And he's someone that certainly believes in a lot of the same things we are, but I'm not forcing you into anything. I'm just trying to make connections here, build some bridges.
That. And that's what it's all about, right? Like our community and everything. It's about making connections, and because we all want a better future for our culture and for our society. And it's important for us to all work together. And that's one of the cool things about what I've run into so much with kind of my circles and stuff, is that we do want to help each other out. We do want to propel each other to success and stuff, which is completely different than like what Hollywood's all about, just like backstabbing and you know, it's a complete nightmare over there.
The dog
which is
dog,
why,
yeah.
which is why it's so cool to see that our community, you know, with how far it spreads. We have people like from comedy to, you know, people who do commentary on, you know, the culture, all that stuff. But it's cool to see that we all do support each other. We want to continue to help each other find success. So I do agree with that. A lot.
Yeah, it's like, where else are you gonna find like such big personalities? But like the YouTube, like what you guys started with Geeks and Gamers, but like, and like with the things that go on, like, you know, you have Gary from Nerdrotic, you have Jeremy, you have Eric July, you have yourself, and you have all like gigantic personalities with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, a lot of them crossing, but still, like, you guys could all be defending your turf, right? You could certainly be defending your turf and not wanting to do these. But what happens instead? You guys are participating, and it's just helping to everything grow. Because it's not like you guys all agree on everything, right? There's been some fantastic debates over the 4, 5, 6 hour marathons that are those shows, but it's brought out the best, I think, in kind of the conservative, libertarian, anarcho-capitalist like communities, right? Like, we don't agree on everything, but there's a coalition on the right of, we're not Marxists, we're not collectivists, we're not trying to influence kids to do evil shit. Like, we want to make people like better. We want people to live good lives, live their own damn lives. So I do want to I want to continue a little more on this stories for children, because right now, coming out, or it might be out, is The Little Mermaid. Is it out yet?
No.
It's coming out.
No.
But The Little Mermaid, that shows how much I pay attention. It's like, I have 2 kids. I have 2 kids and I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm kind of burnt out on all the live.
So
I'm kind of burnt out on all the live action Disney stuff. I'm not going to lie. Like, honestly, since The Jungle Book, and The Jungle Book actually was not bad, right? It was a decent rendition. But since then, and then Emma Watson playing a French chick with an English accent really made me mad. I was just kind of like, outside of all the wokeness, I'm like, this is useless. Why are we doing this? The cartoons were great. How do you feel about what's coming on with The Little Mermaid and all the stuff that's going on with live action Disney and all this nonsense?
Oh man, I mean, it's kind of at a point now where they're just flat out just being like, yeah, we're just gonna change it, man. We don't really care at this point, you know. And I mean, it's like a repetitive cycle at this point with everything that they do, where, you know, they put out something that's, you know, where they completely drastically change characters and all that type of stuff, and then the fans get angry and they're like, oh, you racists, how dare you? And then it's just like it's just a continual cycle, and I think that really just shows that they don't really care that much about the backlash. Like, they're going to continue to push what they want to push, and I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen it recently, but they did something very similar recently with the Peter Pan trailer too.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That was one of the most atrocious trailers.
Why are they redoing Peter Pan again? Pan has sucked every single time.
Lost Boys, you have a girl in there, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And Peter Pan's like, I don't know, like Indian or something.
Yes.
And, I'm like, bro, come on.
You know what's the crazy thing? So I was talking to somebody, and they're black, and we kind of got on this conversation because they wanted to see the new Little Mermaid. And they're like, oh, but you know, the controversy with her being black and white. And she's like, but you know what? She stopped to think. She's like, I'd probably be pretty mad if they made Tiana a white girl. And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm like, and I agree with you, because Tiana in Princess and the Frog, she's a black chick from Louisiana, and her dad makes like great gumbo and stuff. Like, it is a typical black culture in Louisiana thing. You're not going to make a white girl do that. And I said to her, I'm like, yeah, what if they made the Proud Family a white family? She's like, yeah, that wouldn't work. And it's like, there's certain characters, and I guess
it's another redhead down, man.
Another redhead down. And there's kind of the argument that, yeah, she's a mermaid. Okay, I guess maybe fine, but in mythology, King Triton's always been very white, right? All the time. So it's only safe to assume. So I mean, it's just such a dumbed down argument with all this stuff.
The argument that I always make with this type of stuff is that nobody would be having a problem with like The Little Mermaid if it was a completely original story that Disney was telling that had a black mermaid in it. Nobody would care. Nobody would have a problem. But the problem is that they, once again, they're taking a beloved story that was written a particular way, and they're completely hijacking it for, whatever reason they're trying to hide. I mean, it obviously, like, the race swap thing is one thing, but that's just touching the surface on a lot of the other issues with the types of stuff that Disney is doing. So, it's just one. I think in a lot of ways, I think that, and you probably hear this a lot too, is like the race swap is just more of like, it's almost more like a shield for criticism for a lot of the other terrible things, like the terrible writing, the horrible messages that are going to be pushed,
awful CGI.
Yeah, but they're going to continue to use like race swap. It's kind of like that's like, oh, this is all that you guys are upset about. When no, it's deeper than that. So, but once again, like, nobody would care if this was a completely original story. But Disney has no interest in doing that. They have no interest in telling original stories. So that's where the issue really lies. And there's a lot of people that just don't seem to understand that. They don't understand the fact that Disney it's all just about hijacking for them. And it's crazy. I talk to people all the time who just aren't awake to what's actually going on with Disney. It's kind of, it's sad, to be honest. So
it's real sad. And it's kind of, again, it's annoying. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I was going to say, you look at what happens when they do make something original that was actually a part of their ideology. Was a Strange World or Strange Worlds? I think that was Disney, right?
Yeah, Strange World.
Completely flopped. No one cared about it. That's the thing. True. So they have to, if they want to push their ideology in some way, they have to do it to these beloved stories. And then not only do you get the reaction of people, it's like, oh, it might be representation, even though Halle Bailey herself said she saw herself as Little Mermaid when she was younger. But I digress. But they also get the reaction from people from fans who are like, stop doing this. And funny enough, I mean, it was talked about a couple times on FNT and Main Event, but like, you look at Star Wars, what's happened to it now? Now it's fully dead, but what happens? Because there's not enough fans to really say stop it anymore. It's apathy. And we're getting closer to that with Disney, because even I think this controversy with Little Mermaid, like, yeah, it's kind of big, but it's not huge. It's not to the point it used to be.
Yep, exactly.
No,
and this is kind of a point that I'll make about EpicVerse and stuff too, is that we at EpicVerse, like, we and it's nothing that we ever had to like chase after. We never had to chase after, diversity or whatever, but we have so much diversity at EpicVerse, and it's just a natural thing, because the people that are working for EpicVerse are just people that want to tell good stories, and that's the only thing that really matters to us. Is like, okay, are you talented in what you do, and can you tell a good story? Awesome, you're part of the team then. And we have people, I mean, and our diversity goes way deeper than like Hollywood, because we have people who have all sorts of different viewpoints and religions and all that type of stuff that work for EpicVerse. And I don't really care. I don't care if I don't care what your religion is. The only thing that matters to me is, do you hold at least like certain values, obviously, that are, important, like, the value of family and all that type of stuff. But are you good at telling stories? That's all that really matters to us.
You must hate women. You have a value of family. You hate women and trans people.
The reason why I'm saying that is because I get I make videos about like the Little Mermaid trailer and all that type of stuff. There's so many haters out there that are like, oh, well, obviously everything that EpicVerse is going to produce is just like a racist, white supremacist nonsense. And it's like, you guys have no idea what's coming down the pipeline. It's you guys are going to eat your words when you see the type of stuff that we're going to be producing. And the thing is that we never had to chase after diversity or any of that type of stuff. It just is a natural produce, because, we live in America. And guess what? I know this is going to be crazy, but America is a pretty diverse place. Yeah, and, I know, it's pretty insane. And it's nothing that ever had to be, forced. So that's the cool thing about what we're doing with EpicVerse. So
no, I will say this. You're saying people are going to have to eat crow whenever EpicVerse comes out. And those that are honest will. But if you get it, you're probably going to get the same detractors that Ripa got and now Jay is getting, and they're not going to eat any crow. They're going to find every single way to still say it's the same thing, even though it's not. It's actually like good content.
The thing is, your black people aren't politically black. Your brown people aren't politically brown.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Your women are TERFs. And even if you have a trans individual that is writing something, nope, they're not the right type of trans. They're just self-hating. So it's like they always find something with that. And it's incredible, because it's people in our generation that are starting to fight back, because in the Wild West times of the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, what do you know? People were able to write super diverse, good characters. And in those racist, evil times where I tell David all the time, I think one of the biggest reasons Green Lantern flopped to Ryan Reynolds is because it was Hal Jordan. My generation doesn't know who the fuck Hal Jordan is. We know John Stewart, the Black Green Lantern from Justice League. And it was amazing, and he was great, and that's who we knew and loved. You come out of here with Hal Jordan, and yeah, if you're a comic book nerd like I am, like I know who he is, but for me, still, my favorite was John Stewart for the longest time. And, you know, people like, and you want to write a good black character, they have them. Static Shock is arguably the best black superhero, I think, ever. I love Virgil Hawkins. He was amazing. But you can't have a guy who tackles inner city problems in this generation, right? Because that's not a black person's problem. It's white people that caused it. So he wouldn't fit the mold. But it's just ridiculous that I agree with you. If you want to make a good, strong black character, don't just race swap a character. Make a strong one. Ripper is doing it exactly. Yes. I saw him is getting rave reviews. And it's a great thing.
From all those racists out there.
It's ridiculous. And it's like, it's something that we need to see through. Now, you guys with starting Geeks and Gamers, what you're doing with EpicVerse and things, and YouTube right now is on the brink, the forefront of fighting this culture war. How do you guys feel like you guys kind of talk to each other about kind of the goals of what you're trying to do in this culture war? Or is it just kind of an understood thing of let's just all have a core group of values, let's all support each other because the leftists, the Marxists are going to come after us. So let's not bring each other down, let's promote each other. Like, how is that? How is that whole entire relationship jiving?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question because, you know, especially like a lot of our detractors and stuff, that like they think that there's just a lot of like masterminds who are like controlling the whole system and stuff, and it's not like that at all. Okay, like really, we all just have like common values, and that's kind of what connects us. You know, we just become friends. Like I know that's a lot of these losers don't have any friends, so it's probably hard for them to understand. But it's really not that hard to make friends out there. Like, you know, you just start chatting, and one day you're on a live stream, and then you're chatting with them, and it's like, oh, you know, we get along well, cool, you know. So it's really not that it's really not as crazy as a lot of these people make it out to be. We just have common values, and we become friends, and we just get on each other's stuff, and we support each other, and that's really what it is at the end of the day. So obviously with Geeks and Gamers it's a little bit different because that's like a company that has a lot of people that are involved with it. But when it comes to like, you know, Geeks and Gamers and the people there being associated with like Nerderotic or Ripper or whatever else, that's kind of how it works. So yeah.
You're telling me that Jeremy basically isn't the George Soros, and that you know Gary isn't Klaus Schwab running the whole thing from behind, giving the marching orders to all the nerdy internet people. Like, oh
man, I tell you what, some of these theories that people come up with are so insane. You should animate
the theories as like a comedy sketch. You guys should take all those theories and just actually animate them to make fun of them, so that everyone could just see how absolutely ridiculous they are.
Yeah.
I think that could be like,
knowing them, they'd probably take that as like fact, and they'd run with it and be like, see, we were right this whole time. Like Jeremy's, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, like, I love the Last Jedi video and stuff.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
But basically, you know, that was a joke. It was just a joke. You know, it was like Jeremy messed up on his words. He was supposed to say, I love The Force Awakens, but instead he said, I love The Last Jedi. And I was editing the video together for him, and I was like, so is it okay if I just like make like a little like joke video of this? Like Jeremy got exposed and stuff. And he's like, yeah, go for it. And, you know, we didn't think anything of it. At that point, we were mostly just like, we had the YouTube channel maybe had like, I don't know, like 40,000 subscribers. We were still really young and growing at that point. But we mostly had like our Facebook group chat for Geeks and Gamers. And so I made the video, I posted it out there, and you know, everyone thought it was really funny and stuff. And now we're at a point where like 6 years later, people are still taking that video and they're like, this is the video that exposes the truth about Jeremy. And it's like, oh my gosh, you guys are so stupid. You literally just fell into the whole point of the joke. Like,
quite literally meme them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Yeah. So that's why I don't get out of shape when it comes to, you know, our haters out there, because they're just losers. They're never going to accomplish what we have accomplished in our lives, and they're never going to do anything to actually benefit society or benefit those around them. So they don't mean anything to me. So
I was thinking about that today, and it's like a lot of these people that are ripping people like yourself and even us, even though we don't have a massive following, we have our set of detractors like, oh, you guys aren't making any money. Why do you do it? And because these people have never had a passion that they pursued, or they did have a passion and they gave it up. And those are the people that are always negative, right? They gave it up because it was, it's never going to attain it. So let me just go work. And now they're freaking miserable because they have nothing to do with their lives. And those are the people that attack people like you. And especially if you get successful, that's why they come even harder, because it's pure envy and jealousy. And that's why. And one of the things that we want to talk about here is the way that they attack Christianity. And it's obviously we're dealing with leftists and Marxists. So they believe in themselves as the God, right? That is the Marxist theory. They're creator. Man is creator. There is no God. Religion's the opiate of the masses, right? All Karl Marx stuff. But you see it in the way that they attack, right? Because you have your core values. And a lot of our core values, newsflash to anybody that lives in America or most Western European nations, your values and your laws come from Christianity. Sorry, guys. Don't kill people. Christianity. Don't cheat on your spouse. Christianity, even though that one's definitely a blurred line now in our society. But all of our basic religions are most ones that we are taught that we know, like, just don't be a dick to people. Christianity, those are all the basic tenets, but you see them getting torn down. How have you seen that manifest in the work that you've been doing, in your attacks? You see people attacking your values even more than they attack your actual work?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have Christian values and those kind of come out in how you talk and stuff and what you believe, I think that's going to get attacked by a certain group of people in the culture. We're still very blessed to live in a culture where we can say what we believe, and for however long that lasts, who knows? But
we're going to be the new Uyghurs when China takes over.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, so it's one of those things where I think that we're just kind of in a place right now, especially with the church in America, and all of that there needs to be a lot more bold speaking out on things that are going on. And unfortunately, we're kind of living in a time where we're seeing even churches going woke, and nothing is more cringe than that.
James Lindsay has exposed the Southern Baptist in a huge way, and a lot of people are in disbelief with the things that he has dug up. And James Lindsay's not allowed to talk about Christianity because he's an atheist, right? Atheist. Right. Yet he knows the Bible more than most Christians. But sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Josiah.
No, yeah, you're true. I mean, there's a lot of atheists that have pointed out some really good hypocritical things about the Christianity and stuff, so you believe that hell is real and stuff, and that it's important to save people from that, and yet you guys aren't ever preaching the gospel or sharing the gospel or anything. I don't remember. I think it was Dawkins who said that, but anyway, with all that aside, I mean, you're seeing drag queens that are being brought into churches and all of this type of crazy stuff that is going on. And that is what happens when you have a church that chases after the culture instead of leading the culture. You get that type of stuff. And I mean, we could definitely get into the tangent about the whole Christian film industry, because that is a whole ball of wax that we have completely drop the ball on as well when it comes to how we can impact the culture with the films that we are making. And it's not just films. I think it's kind of the arts in general. I think that Christians have done a pretty poor job.
And to your point, Passion of the Christ, VeggieTales, two of the biggest, one of the biggest movies of all time, one of the biggest kids shows of all time, were blatantly Christian messages, and very successful at that. So it's difficult to understand why a lot of Christians can't wrap their heads around the fact that be creative, right? Our stories are really good in Christianity.
I mean, we kind of have the greatest storyteller ever, who's who we believe in. So it's kind of it shouldn't be that difficult, but yeah, I mean, I think that as far as the attacks on Christianity, I don't think that's necessarily the biggest problem of what is going on, if that makes sense. I think it's definitely more of Christians are just not stepping up to the plate like they should be. So I think that's where a lot of the issues lie, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
especially, you know, considering the fact that our country, like you said, was built on like Christian principles and stuff.
It's a proud Judeo-Christian nation.
Yes, exactly. And so, you know, and we're just tossing all of that to the wayside as we chase after the worship of self. And you know, you probably have heard the whole thing with like, you know, politics is downstream of culture, but culture is downstream of worship. What you worship is going to affect what your culture is.
Yep,
So,
100%.
Yeah, and I found it really interesting, though, because there are times where you might see normal people or people you don't expect saying things that you would never expect them to say. Like, I saw recently Rainn Wilson point out on The Last of Us that he saw a Christian character, and it's been so hammered in entertainment that he saw a Christian character and he already knew this person was going to be a bad guy. And he's like, why is this the thing? Like, why is it anytime I see a Christian character, I know they're going to be a bad guy? Yeah. Why is this a consistent aspect in all of entertainment? Why can't they ever either just be neutral or a good character?
Right. It's true.
Yeah, it's been terrible. And I want to kind of set a record straight here, and I don't know how much it's been said, but our mother was a hairdresser for 20 plus years. She was very much enveloped in the gay culture. One of the people that was around us for a long time was a gay man. He was named Miss Gay New Jersey multiple times. He was a drag queen. We need to stop calling what is going on right now drag. Because what they're doing right now isn't drag. It's trans queens. It is an ideological push. Because what drag used to be was dude in wig, wearing a dress, in high heels, singing ABBA or singing something like and entertaining and making it a comedy show. And there was a reason why you could even have like straight guys there laughing because some of it was funny as hell. Now that's not what we get.
It was more like jester type stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yes, it was meant to be funny, but now like they kind of towed the line. First, they started to go into like the burlesque area and they were allowed to do that. And that was easily, and that was quick. And now they're into more of just like the sexually erotic actions. And
yes.
We're allowing them to call it drag queen story hour. A trans man going in and reading to kids is not drag queen story hour. That is trans ideological Marxist, whatever the hell you want to call it, but an indoctrination session.
Yes.
It is a create a struggle session and create activism. So once again, where we're failing, and I guess as good Christians we're failing, we're not calling out evil where it lies, right? We're allowing them to take words that we know what they mean and make it something else. Yeah. Because they're not drag queens. And listen, I think it's a weird culture. I'm most fond of it. But number one, kids shouldn't be involved. Don't mess with our damn kids. Yeah. And number two, what they're doing isn't drag. It is offensive to the gay community. And, you know, it's trans people taking advantage of a fight that's been had. So I just wanted to set the record straight there. And whether you disagree or agree with drag queens or whatever, but what's going on is not drag in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, and I 100% agree with that. And that's why I think like gatekeeping is so important. You know what I mean? Like, that's a very negative subject with a lot of leftists and wokesters as well. Like they hate gatekeeping and stuff, but gatekeeping is so important because it's like the whole like Marxist woke ideology and basically any sort of ideology like that that's outside of kind of the Christian worldview is a slippery slope, and it's just going to continue to get worse and worse until you gatekeep it at some point. And whether it's whether it's actual like society and the culture that gatekeeps it, or the government that gatekeeps it, that's what's going to happen eventually, is that the government is going to be the one that's going to gatekeep it, and nobody should want that. Nope. And so that's why it's so important that's why it's so important for the people to actually start to stand up and be like, no, this is crossing the line. We're not doing this, you know? And unfortunately, we've been heading down the slippery slope for a very long time, and it's only going to continue to get worse, unfortunately.
So you gave me a good transition with the gatekeeping, because I do want to talk about gatekeeping, because I think something that was successfully gatekept, and if that's a phrase, gatekept, I might have just created something that was gatekept, that was successful was Lord of the Rings. They fucked with the wrong group of people, right?
Yes.
I'm a Tolkien nerd. You know, I've read all of them. David knows. I don't know many people have read Children of Urine. I have. It's an amazing book. But humans can get a spotlight. Pretty cool, right? Even in Tolkien's universe. But you know, one of the things they did, obviously, Amazon decided to make the biggest bust of all time, the most expensive bust of all time in Rings of Power, which I still have to say I'm holding strong. I have never watched. I watched enough videos from you guys and Geeks and Gamers and, you know, Nerdrotic and everything. I've seen it enough to see the pain just through the reviews. But that was such an epic flop that Paramount, or I forget who it is, I think it might be Paramount, someone is taking the chance to go, let's erase that and make new Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
Because they did such, Warner Brothers, because they did such a bad job and pissed off so many loyal and great fans that they're about to capitalize and erase it completely. Yes. So, what are the chances that we get good Lord of the Rings movies? Because we're happy, right? Peter Jackson seems to be back involved, and you know, Warner Brothers is there, and they made really good. Like, I'm not counting The Hobbit because I did not like The Hobbit, but the Lord of the Rings were fantastic. It was a great rendition. Maybe we'll get Tom Bombadil in this next one. I need him. I want him. Yes. But but it's like, what are your hopes? Because we've been teased before with cool shit, right? And then all of a sudden Hollywood gets his clutches and ripped away from us. What are your hopes that we're going to actually get some good Lord of the Rings films?
Unfortunately, I've become very cynical, and
very fair.
And it's hard for me to. We've just been burned so many times, right? Even with Rings of Power, when they announced that, I was like, "Oh, this could be really good," because it's Amazon. You know, Amazon's kind of like outside of the big studios in Hollywood and stuff, and you know, maybe they'll kind of like want to do something really cool. We all saw how that turned out, and
just by the trailer, David showed me the trailer, and I think my comment is, why is Galadriel fighting anything when she's one of the most powerful people in Middle Earth that does not need to fight anything? He was like, and I told him I'm not watching this. He just sent me trailer upon trailer just to make me angry.
Yeah, real quick, I have not read any Lord of the Rings, but I know he has. I know how much he loves it, so I specifically tried to piss him off.
He told me it worked. It worked every single time. Every single time I was like, I'm not watching that. And I watch it and I'd be like, I hate everything about you and this upcoming thing. But so go ahead, continue. So what are your...
So
we have hopes here.
I mean, I want to be hopeful because I want to believe that Warner Brothers, especially under David Zaslav now, and he's kind of the new, the new guy running the show and stuff. And it sounds like they're really trying to do some good stuff with DC, which is really cool. You know, I still don't agree that James Gunn is the best guy for it, but you know, who knows?
Hopefully every movie doesn't have all comedy lines in it, because that's what Marvel became. We'll see if that happens.
But I will say this, something that did strike me as a very positive thing that came out over the past couple of days was they're going to be reinstating Superman's line, Truth, Justice, and the American Way in the new Superman film, which I was like, okay, that's a step in the right direction. So with that being said,
we'll see if they take it and make it like multicultural American, like not meaning just they'll come out True Justice and American Way, but not just for white people. Like that'll be like the bottom, like the sub tagline.
And they could totally do that for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised at this point. But with all that aside, I really want to believe that Warner Brothers saw just how much of a trash fire disaster Amazon's Rings of Power was, and they want to, like I said, capitalize on that and do something that is actually going to be, good for the fans, something that the fans will be excited for. And, especially, bringing on some of the people that they are to work on it and stuff, it makes me go, okay, there might be a small chance that this might actually be good. We'll see. I'm not gonna hold them to that quite yet, but I really want to believe that the timing especially is like there has to be some reason why all of this is happening right now, right? I mean,
I feel like this might be Peter Jackson revenge for being like shoved out of Rings of Power. Yes. Like where, obviously he wanted to be a part of that. He's obviously, but you know what? He probably wanted to stick to too much Tolkien lore, and they're just like, but no, where is the diversity? Why can't we have the first ever black elf? And it's like, because Peter probably looked at him and was like, because he's not the first ever black elf. Yes. And they're like, get out of here, Peter. You're being truthful.
Yes, exactly. And the one thing that I'm kind of a little bit iffy on is like they obviously they want to tell some stories that are kind of set in the Middle Earth universe. And to me, I'm like, maybe it's because I'm kind of I wouldn't say I'm like a Tolkien purist, but I'm definitely kind of like someone that really respects what he wrote and stuff. I'm a little bit iffy on that, but But if Peter Jackson's behind it and he's obviously he understands and he wants to honor Tolkien, that was always a very big thing for him. And when it comes to The Hobbit, there's a lot of, other drama behind all of that goes beyond Peter Jackson and stuff.
Yep.
But I really want to believe that they want to do good by Middle Earth fans after how much pain we had to go through with Rings of Power, but we'll see, I guess.
A bunch of racist Tolkien fans. And I will say, I am a Tolkien purist, and there is enough stories outside of Lord of the Rings to make some fantastic movies with, the Tales of Middle Earth. Obviously, you can take some stuff from the Silmarillion and get some really good stuff out of that, which, people wouldn't like the Silmarillion because it is essentially a Bible of Middle Earth, and we know they don't like Bibles in Hollywood, so we'll go there. But
exactly.
Go ahead.
And I think that my biggest thing is I want them to just be faithful to what Tolkien actually wrote, whether they explore more of the Middle Earth world outside of what is actually like text on page and stuff. I'm kind of okay with it, but as long as they are still honoring what Tolkien actually has, it's like, this is Middle Earth, this is the world that I created, these are the characters that I created, don't fuck with that, you know what I mean? So that's my thing. So
no one from the Tolkien estate, they're out after what they just did, they're gone.
Oh my gosh.
But I want to switch gears. John Wick 4 is coming out.
Yes.
Keanu Reeves has proven to be probably one of the most badass 60-year-olds I've ever seen. He's becoming, it seems, as he's asked more things, because the cool thing about Keanu Reeves is he's always just kind of been a chill dude, right? Behind the scenes, funding children's schools without anybody knowing, just taking the freaking bus and the train in New York City places, not living in an extravagant place. Like, he's just been a dude his whole life. The more they're asking him to speak, I feel like the more they're regretting it. Because the more he's coming out that he's just absolutely based. And, and to the fact where he does hold values, right? When he takes a picture with any woman you see, his arm never touches a woman that isn't someone that is his. Like, he is just a very traditional man. Mm-hmm. I love the first 3 John Wicks. I love that it's just a continuous story. I love the gritty nature of the fights. Like, John Wick isn't just one punching everything. He struggles. The martial arts is much more legit as to what you would see if there was a more super powered person or a high level individual. John Wick 4 looks really good again. Are you excited for what John Wick 4 is going to be?
I can't tell you how excited I am for John Wick 4. I love, and I went back and rewatched the first 3 movies over this past week to kind of, get ready for John Wick 4. Every time I go back and watch these movies, I'm like, I just love these movies so much.
Parabellum is so good.
So good. Like, the whole fight in like the museum and stuff with all the antique weapons was incredible. Yeah. The fight in the second one in the crypts and stuff was also like, it's such a great fight. I absolutely love it. And it's kind of interesting because we know that Hollywood especially hates like traditional people that start to talk about that type of stuff and, come out with, beliefs that are kind of outside or go against the Hollywood, belief pattern that they want to be pushing out there. And so it makes me wonder, what his career is going to continue to look like. The thing is that I think that a lot of people that work on the John Wick films are pretty based because they're just like a bunch of like, stunt guys and fight coordinators and that type of stuff who are like,
how did a common film with them?
We just want to make cool movies, that's really all that matters to them at the end of the days. They also did at least I know that some of the writers were involved with and producers, I believe, as well, with Mr. Nobody as well, which was also a really, really good film. I love that movie too. But they just want to make good movies. They just want to make good films that are fun action films, and they're absolutely just knocking out of the park with everything that they're doing with that. So I can't wait for John Wick 4. I can't wait to continue to see where they go with his story. And the thing that I love so much about John Wick 2 is the world building. Like the whole story, the whole world that they have kind of constructed with like the Continental and the table and all of this type of stuff. It's just like, it's so good, and I just want more of it. So I can't wait.
I don't want it to end. And it's like, and it's funny because like you're watching a movie which has like a more realistic fighting style. But then there's some like absolutely ridiculous stuff that goes on and they don't apologize for it.
Yeah.
Like when they're going through the mall with like the silencer, just shooting at each other with silencers and nobody's batting an eye.
Yeah.
Like people are just walking. These dudes are just silencer sniping each other, breaking shit randomly, and nobody stops. Nobody just looks to see, like they just keep going. And it's like
cracks me up.
It almost reinforces though that they're in the Matrix. Like it's kind of like a bizarre thing, right? It really does, because in the Matrix, the NPCs or the Biden voters would just continue to move as this type of stuff goes on because they're sold nothing to see here, right? Yep. So it's kind of like it does seem like it's a continuation of Neo, even though the new Matrix is awful, but there is some credence sometimes when they do some of these things to the fact that there's something going on. This isn't like an actual like reality. But yeah, no, I'm excited. It doesn't seem like Keanu Reeves wants to stop doing these. Which, you know, if this gets to like Fast X level and it's just he's fighting in space, like flying around like Goku and shooting laser beams, like I'd be cool if they make him a Super Saiyan at some point and do Dragon Ball Z right before Dragon Ball Z exists, just with Keanu. And you got to bring Nick Cage in there because he's Nick Cage, obviously. Marvel needs him. He doesn't need Marvel. But
oh man, I loved it when he said that. I was like, yes, that's so awesome.
Nicolas Cage. And it's like, fuck yeah, you are. But overall, like, I'm excited for it. Dave, did you see the John Wicks? Or do we have to
now
fight?
I feel like a bad person because I haven't seen any of them. I know.
Here's the thing, Josiah. Well, here's the one thing about David. If you tell him to do it, he won't. Out of spite, that person.
I have been told so many times, like, oh man, even when the first John Wick movie came out, it's like, oh, it's actually really good. You should watch it. I'm like, I really should. No, I should. I agree. I just never do.
Dave, do not watch John Wick. Don't ever watch John Wick.
I do feel like I have to watch them now because, 4 is coming out. Maybe I should catch up. I mean, instead I've just been watching random horror stuff on YouTube, on Shudder. And
you've been listening to true crime because you are a menopausal woman. But no, Dave, I'll say this, Dave. The cool thing about the John Wicks, like Josiah did, it's so easy to watch them in succession because they quite literally start. It's one long movie. Yeah. The next movie starts where the other one ends exactly. Yeah. So it's just such a cool setting. But you know what? No, Dave, I don't want you. I literally don't want you to watch it now. I don't want you to have the enjoyment of these films. You don't deserve it.
I'll watch Rings of Power instead.
Yeah, watch Rings of Power.
On it.
And whatever the stupid like Witcher film TV show.
Blood Origins?
Whatever the hell that was.
That was so bad too. Oh my gosh. But my question is, who is the more badass 60-year-old, Keanu Reeves or Tom Cruise? Because they're both 60 right now.
Ooh, I did see Maverick. So
you know what? Tom Cruise does all of his own stunts forever, which I love.
Yeah.
He is a Scientologist, but he's unapologetically Scientologist. And there's something based about that, right? There's something based about, I'm a psycho. Everyone makes fun of me, but I am probably the greatest actor of this generation. Of the last 40 years, I have dominated.
When Spielberg says you saved Hollywood, I think you're up there. I think you're up there.
That is true. Yeah.
And you know what?
There is. Go ahead. I was just gonna say there's something really charming about Keanu Reeves, though. You know what I mean? Yes. Like there's just something about him that's like I would always have your back, man, for real.
Mm-hmm. So. He has the Shatner where he's not a good actor. He just seems like a dope dude, and he always goes in like the best movies. Like the roles are like kind of designed for him not to fail, and he does a good job of just not failing. And he's really good at. But like I've gained a lot of respect for him from the fact that he dedicated the time to firing the weapons properly, right, learning how to do it, and properly learning the martial arts techniques, so that when he does something, it's a legitimate move. He's not just being told the choreography. Like he understands it, and that he's asking his co-stars to undergo that type of stuff with him, so that it all looks realistic. So there's a respect. Tom Cruise is
caring about a product. Imagine caring about what you're doing.
Right?
I can't wait for the remake of John Wick when he's a trans female, like. Were they like I don't know? I can't wait.
Don't give
fighting her way into the female bathroom.
Fighting TERFs, beating up on TERFs, a trans woman beating up TERFs. Oh, they all look like J.K. Rowling. EpicVerse. You should do a whole parody things, like just making fun of all this shit. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
You can steal any of these ideas. I promise I will never want credit. Take any of these.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we've kind of tossed around. We might do something like that at some point. So that'd be, I mean, it's like an unlimited amount of content for that, right? So yes. Yeah. Have you guys ever seen Keanu Reeves at like when he's doing like the gun range courses too, like the obstacle course things?
He's a master marksman. It's ridiculous, and it's with every gun.
Holy shit.
Yes.
But when I tell you, it's so, David, go just search YouTube gun training course. Yeah. And he goes there and he's competing with the SEALs, and they will say,
that's awesome.
That is SEAL level accuracy and timing. This is a 60-year-old doing it.
That's really cool. Yeah. Gonna turn it to the end from Metal Gear Solid 3.
He really might turn into the.
Basically, what we need is we just need a movie that has Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves starring with each other.
Yes, that would be 100%.
So, Josiah, I find it sad. Will Smith could have been in that category if his fall wasn't so terrible. Because Mary Jada, and even during the Jada marriage, though, it's since the entanglement stuff, he's gone way down, right? And since his son came out as an absolute weirdo, it's been. But he was a guy where if Will Smith was in it, I would watch it, because at least I know Will Smith would have been amazing, right?
Yeah, he was good.
And he made so many good movies, but it's at this point now, it's you question whether or not Will Smith, he probably still does great things. I heard he was amazing in King Richard, but it's I don't care anymore. Because he's just become such a persona to me that I don't want to see. And it's amazing when a Scientologist makes me want to watch his movies more than a dude with marital issues, right? So it's but exactly. It's sad that Will Smith has fallen out of that echelon of just actors I will go see their movies.
Yeah, I mean, America is so super duper racist that when Will Smith was at the peak of his acting career, everyone was excited for a Will Smith movie.
We call Morgan Freeman God in this country. Quite literally, Morgan Freeman is God because of Bruce Almighty. But we had a black president, we have a black God, but we're racist, right?
So racist, yeah. But no, Will Smith's fall from grace has been really sad to see, because he was the guy in the early 2000s and stuff like that, when I would go see everything that he was out in, and he's been in some of my favorite movies of all time. I Am Legend is definitely up there as one of my favorite movies.
Did you read the book of I Am Legend?
I have not, but I hear that it's really, really good.
They screwed up the ending in the movie. The book ending is so much better.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I believe they're doing a second I Am Legend now with Will Smith, and it's a Michael B. Jordan in it.
I
think it's Michael B. Jordan.
Wow.
So I don't know how that's going to turn out, but yeah. So, but it is kind of sad to see that Will Smith, and I think a lot of it does have to do with his marital issues and a lot of that type of stuff. And I don't blame everything on him, because I think that Jada Pinkett Smith is a trash human being.
Yeah, and, not a good person at all.
Yeah, and she's really sunk below. It kind of goes back to that whole thing where behind every good man it's a good woman, or whatever, however that says.
Yeah. Which is true.
The same thing is true about a bad woman behind a man too, that can really just destroy a man. So, and I think you can really see that in Will Smith, unfortunately. So
yeah, and I feel like that harkens to kind of social media really killed the movie star kind of thing. Yeah, because you guys said, Will Smith was basically on his way to a Tom Cruise kind of level, where anything he's in, people are going to go watch it. But he has this marital strife that can't be seen on a damn podcast, where he's basically bawling his eyes out as his wife tells him she fucked his son's best friend. If you don't have the chance to see that, you just kind of hear about it in some rag or in some story later on. It's not as bad, but you can see the pain in the man's face. And I don't care if he got to get with Margot Robbie. You see the pain in that man's face. He didn't want any of that. Ever.
There's no mystique to actors and actresses anymore. Yeah. So I do have to ask this. Are we supposed to know who Jonathan Majors is before Kang? Why do people pretend that Jonathan Majors has been this amazing actor in Hollywood for the last 30 years?
I literally couldn't tell you a single thing that he has been in. So.
Exactly. I thought I was the only one, because when you have the red carpet, Jake Gyllenhaal, the most charismatic guy in the room, how am I supposed to be with him? Jake Gyllenhaal, you are a cuck for fucking Jonathan Majors. I'm trying to figure out, I didn't think he's bad. When I saw him in Loki wasn't great, but when he wasn't the worst part of Loki, he was fine, right? And Kang can be whoever the hell they want. Kang the Conqueror is kind of an anomaly. Yeah. So like whatever. But it's like everyone's talking about this guy like I'm supposed to know who he is. I had no idea who the hell he was. Okay, I'm happy I'm not the only one. Like you pay attention to this stuff more than I do now. You didn't know who the hell he was.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, am I like crazy? How do I not know? Like, and I was like, yeah, totally. Jonathan Majors, yeah, super awesome guy. And yeah, I don't know who this guy is.
Like, part of me wants to like go and ask him and be like, what are you in, dude? Like, offend this guy. Like, oh, I was Kang. Outside of that, what the hell did you do? So good.
So, he is a good actor. I will give him that. Like, he was
nothing wrong with
one of the only redeeming things about Ant-Man 3, and he was actually really good in Creed 3. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet.
I haven't seen that.
I do want to see that.
He absolutely crushed it in that film.
Good.
So
nice.
I think that he is really gifted. I have no idea who he is. So
no, exactly. So last thing I want to touch on before we let you go, I don't want to hold you too long, but Quentin Tarantino has announced his last movie. He's up to 10 movies now. He said, which is kind of crazy. He said he wanted to make 10 movies by 60. He turned 60 later this year, which is, badass. That's a Tarantino-esque thing, right?
Yeah.
But the name has come out. The movie critic, rumors are swirling. It has a female lead. It might be based off in late 1970s, a female critic named Pauline Kael. What do we know? What do you know about the Tarantino movie, and how do you feel this last movie is going to go? Because he has made some of the best movies of our time.
One of my favorites of all time.
Yeah. I totally agree. Quentin Tarantino is easily probably he's in my top 3 favorite directors for sure.
Certainly.
He's absolutely incredible at what he does, and it's going to be really sad that knowing that that's going to be the last film that he's done. He's kind of alluded that he might continue to like produce some stuff and be involved in that type of stuff, but he is just such a phenomenal director, and to not have him like directing or possibly even like writing his own things anymore is going to be really sad. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about this film. I know that he's like he's shopping it around right now. He's bidding for it and stuff, but it's going to be I have a feeling that whatever this is, it's going to be something that's going to be a whole new level for Quentin Tarantino. Like, I don't think that whatever this movie is going to be is something that we're going to be even expecting from Quentin, to be completely honest. I've heard people like throw around theories that this could be like some sort of like really like meta film that he does, where it's almost like about a film critic that's like
could be
kind of like doing reviews about like his own movies and some of that type of stuff, which would be just crazy meta, but it would
very
be
Tarantino-esque.
Yes, exactly. But either way, I think that he's easily one of the best directors working today, and it's good. Hollywood's going to be, there's going to be a huge lack of talent after he's done. So, yeah, I mean, I know that it's kind of interesting because I think Quentin Tarantino is one of those guys that Hollywood kind of is hating to in a lot of ways, as well, because he's even in like some of the times when he's been like called out for like being like super sexist or whatever else, one of the most badass things he ever did was when that woman, I think it was after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, was like, you didn't give Sharon Tate like hardly any lines, and Margot Robbie and all this stuff, and so you're basically a sexist, right? Is what she was almost like asking him, and he was like, I just completely reject your hypothesis. Get out of my face. I'm Quentin Tarantino. Who are you to talk to me in this way?
Love it.
It's so good. And so yeah, I mean, Quentin Tarantino, I would say that Denis Villeneuve is probably one of my other favorite directors working in Hollywood right now too. But there's very few that I actually am like always like anticipating every movie that they put out, but he's definitely one of them. So
we need to start a thing now. We need to guess how in the movie he's going to die and what point in the movie, because he always kills himself. In any of the movies he kills himself. So how and when, because it's different points, right, that he does it. So we got to try and start putting our heads now. How is he going to get killed, and when is it going to happen? Because that's got to be half the fun now, because that's one of the coolest things he does, is the way he always throws himself in, and he always figures out a creative way to kill himself. And I think like it's funny, like we probably all have different favorite Tarantino movies, and they're all probably in our top 5, right?
Yes, actually.
And it's crazy because it's like, I feel like he's done a lot more than 9 movies. Like, that's how big they are. Like, it feels like he's done so many, and it just goes to show that, like, he picks his marks, he takes his time, and just the way that once an actor or actress is in his movie, they're loyal to him, right? If he calls, they'll come. He can call Samuel L. for this movie, and he'll probably drop what he's doing and be like, I'm going to go work with Quentin. Because, like, he obviously touches with these individuals, and their characters are good. So it's like, it is sad. It is sad that he's going to go, but I like what he said too. He's like, hey, directors tend to get worse as they get older. I'm not going to be that guy. So I'm going to go out when I'm 60 and peace. Yeah. So I'm excited for it.
I do respect it, even if it is sad. So but I think we're going to see a lot of people that have starred in a lot of his previous movies that will be in this film as well, which will be really cool. Especially, you know, since everyone knows this is his last movie and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be in this film. That I think that the cast for this film is going to be absolutely insane when they release it too. So I just can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
I would love it if he makes it hot garbage just for like if he just intentionally makes it a steaming pile of shit just to like troll everyone. Like, peace, I'm Tarantino, I'm out. You guys just made me $1 billion to see this movie, and it's a hot piece of garbage.
That'd be incredible.
That's how I'm leaving.
Oh man, I would actually respect that so much.
Yeah, but I like the decision. I mean, going out on your own terms, you're a legendary director. Obviously, everyone knows his name. If you watched any movies, you know Quentin Tarantino's name. And like Alex said, you probably have a favorite, and it's probably pretty up there in your list. But it's wild because he's really leaving at one of the worst times he could leave.
We need him
for Hollywood because they need him. They need directors like him. They need directors that actually have a lot of care in their movies and really make it stylized, because a lot of the issue is the fact that they're pushing a certain ideology, but also it's very bland. There's nothing that's coming out that's really well stylized and different. They're like, oh man, I mean, it might not be great in a lot of aspects, but at least it like looks different. At least it's kind of cool
can push
in some
woke
way.
Shit, and I would watch Tarantino's woke stuff because it would be well done.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Dave.
True. Yeah, I mean, and that's the crazy thing is that there are very few like young up and coming directors that I can think of that I'm actually excited about when they make movies. Like I can't really think of any really off the top of my head that I really like. I mean, most of them are older directors that are obviously not going to be around for much longer. Nope. And when that happens, man, Hollywood is in for a lot of hurt when that happens. So.
Even more hurt than right now. They're not even in a good spot anyway.
Yes.
Well, it's a good thing we have the EpicVerse coming. It's a good thing that the new directors of this generation will be coming from places like the EpicVerse, places like that are going to bring new culture in, that's going to bring good culture in, good shows, good movies, good animation, good everything. So, Josiah, thank you so much for coming on. This was an absolute blast, man.
I appreciate it a lot, guys. And anytime you want me back, just let me know. So
anything you want to plug at? We talked about the EpicVerse. Anything else? And where can people find the EpicVerse? Where can they subscribe? What's a way to get involved and really start pushing this out there?
Yeah, so we do have a temporary website right now, epicverse.tv. We are currently building a completely from the ground up, from scratch website right now that's going to be like Netflix level type of stuff. It's going to be absolutely nuts and awesome. Very, very expensive too, but but it'll be worth it. So, but for now, you can go check out epicverse.tv. We do have a sign up forum over there, so you can stay in touch with stuff that we're doing. We also have our merch up there as well, and you also get to kind of see a little bit of a tease of just a whole line of the projects that are going to be coming down the pipeline. So yeah, go check us out over there, and we just keep updated because we're gonna have a very, very big announcement in a few months here, and it's gonna be awesome. So I can't wait.
I hope that website's ready, man. It's gonna get flooded. You better be prepared for the most people possible, because that thing's gonna go down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's gonna
just don't make it like a government website. Make it functional.
Yes, yeah. The website is gonna be very smooth, very clean. People are gonna love it. So yeah, it'll be good.
we're excited once again. He's Josiah Rises. Go subscribe to him on YouTube. I know EpicVerse is over there. Go subscribe. And he's one of the OG Geeks and Gamers. Go check out Geeks and Gamers too. They're freaking awesome. And definitely go support everything they're doing, especially if you like what you heard here. You're going to get good content, fun content, entertaining stuff. It's not going to be just, traditional, boring right-wing stuff that we've seen. It's going to be good stuff. And I trust what Josiah and Epic Mike are doing over there, that they're going to make this great. Dave, before we jump out, anything else you want to say?
No, it was a great time. I can't wait to have you on back at any time. I'm very happy this happened in the first place, honestly.
Yep, we were both able to fanboy a little bit.
But, thanks, guys. Really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. But once again, Alex Quest, the show. Like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Find us on the socials, and we'll be back next week. So long, everybody.